While you were asleep last night, someone made $43,000. They didn't wake up early, didn't work harder, didn't hustle. They just owned something that paid them while their eyes were closed. And here's the part that makes this uncomfortable. They probably started with money you'll never have. The internet is flooded with people promising to teach you passive income, but almost none of them tell you what passive income actually costs to build. So, let's do that now. The phrase, making money while you sleep, isn't new. It's been repackaged and resold for decades. Rental properties, dividend stocks, online courses, affiliate links, print-on-demand stores. Every generation gets its own version of the same promise. But something shifted in the last 5 years. The passive income industrial complex became an industry unto itself. Gurus selling courses on how to sell courses, dropshippers teaching dropshipping, people monetizing the idea of passive income faster than they're actually generating it. And beneath all that noise, there's a real question nobody wants to answer honestly. Does passive income actually exist for regular people? Or is it just active income with a time delay and better marketing? Let's start with what passive income actually means. In theory, it's money earned with minimal ongoing effort after an initial investment of time, money, or both. The classic example is dividend-paying stocks. You buy shares in a company, that company generates profit. Some of that profit gets distributed to shareholders. You receive a check. You did nothing. That's the dream. Here's the math on that dream. The average dividend yield in the S&P 500 right now hovers around 1.7%. Let's say you want to earn $50,000 a year in dividends. You'd need to invest roughly $3 million. Already, we're not talking about passive income for most people. We're talking about passive income for people who already have active wealth. But let's say you don't have $3 million. You have time instead, so you build something, a YouTube channel, an online course, a software tool, a blog with affiliate links. You spend 6 months, maybe a year, creating content or products. Then, theoretically, it runs on autopilot, except it almost never does. YouTube's algorithm changes, your course material becomes outdated, your affiliate links break, your software needs updates, competitors emerge, traffic drops. What you built as passive income quietly becomes active maintenance, or it dies. There's a reason why most passive income success stories involve people who are still actively working on that income stream. The income might be scalable, but it's rarely passive. Here's where it gets interesting. The people making real money while they sleep fall into 2 categories. The first, people with capital. The second, people who got lucky with timing. Let's talk about real estate since it's the most romanticized passive income source. Yes, rental properties can generate monthly cash flow, but the upfront cost is brutal. Down payment, closing costs, repairs, property management. And if you're managing it yourself to save money, congratulations, you just bought yourself a part-time job as a landlord. The numbers show this clearly. The median home price in the United States is around $400,000. If you put 20% down, that's $80,000 before you collect a single rent check. Most people don't have $80,000 sitting around. And even if you do, your net rental yield after expenses typically runs between 4 and 7% annually. You're looking at years, sometimes decades, before the math works in your favor. But here's the part that nobody mentions in the Instagram reels. The people telling you to buy rental properties usually bought theirs in 2012, when prices were 30% lower and interest rates were half what they are now. Timing wasn't just important, it was everything. The same applies to dividend stocks, index funds, and even digital products. The person who built an audience in 2015 had a completely different landscape than someone starting today. Less competition, more organic reach, lower customer acquisition costs. They didn't just work smarter, they showed up earlier. So what happens when regular people try to build passive income today? They usually end up buying someone else's. This is the core irony of the passive income economy. The courses, the memberships, the software tools that promise to automate your business. Every dollar you spend trying to build passive income becomes someone else's passive revenue, and the math makes sense for them, not for you. Let's say someone sells a course on Kindle publishing for $200. If they sell 500 copies, that's $100,000. For them, it's relatively passive after the initial creation. For the buyers, most will never publish a single book that earns back that $200. This isn't a scam exactly. It's just selection bias at scale. The people who succeed are loud. The people who fail are silent, so the success rate looks higher than it actually is. Meanwhile, real passive income, the kind that actually compounds and requires minimal upkeep, remains locked behind barriers most people can't cross. You need capital to invest. You need time to build. You need distribution to scale. You need luck to get noticed. Here's what's rarely said out loud. Passive income isn't a strategy, it's an outcome. And for most people, it only becomes possible after decades of active income. The retiree living off dividend stocks didn't start passive. They worked for 30 years, saved aggressively, and invested consistently. The landlord collecting rent didn't start passive. They saved for a down payment, took on debt, and spent years managing properties until they could afford to hire someone else to do it. Even the online creator earning royalties from old videos didn't start passive. They published hundreds of pieces of content, failed repeatedly, learned what worked, and built an audience over years. Passive income is what happens after you've already won the active income game. It's the reward for patience, capital, or timing, sometimes all three. And maybe that's fine. Maybe the goal isn't to escape work entirely. Maybe it's to build systems that pay you even when you're not working, while understanding that those systems require constant attention, at least at first. But the gap between the promise and the reality is vast, and the people profiting most from passive income aren't the ones earning it. They're the ones selling the idea of it. So can you make money while you sleep? Yes, but probably not in the way you've been told. You won't build a six-figure income from a weekend side hustle. You won't retire at 30 from dividend stocks unless you're already rich. You won't automate your way to freedom by buying a course. What you can do is this: earn actively, invest consistently, build something scalable, and give it time. Years, not months, maybe decades. The uncomfortable truth is that passive income isn't passive until it is. And by the time it becomes truly passive, you'll have worked harder to get there than most people work in their entire lives. Which raises the real question nobody asks. If it takes that much work to make money while you sleep, is it even worth calling passive? Or is it just capitalism's way of convincing you that wealth is always one more investment away?
If this kind of breakdown is useful, this is exactly what the channel does. No hype, no shortcuts, just how the system actually works. Subscribing just means you won't miss the next one.